Imagine forcing 5 AI models to debate whether a coffee mug can, phase through a solid oak desk.
Right, like a magic trick.
Exactly. And if they all vote yes, congratulations, your multi-million-dollar vision model just hallucinated a brand new law of physics.
Which is pretty much a daily nightmare for developers right now.
It really is. If you're an ML engineer trying to scale 3D spatial reasoning, this hallucination echo chamber is, well, it's the wall you keep hitting.
Yeah.
This is AI Paper Podcasts. We're the series where we summarize the latest AI and tech papers, and today we are looking at a solution that bypasses this nightmare entirely.
We're looking at a really fascinating paper today.
Yeah, the paper is called SpatialEvo, Self-Evolving Spatial Intelligence via Deterministic Geometric Environments. It's from Dingming Li and a team out of Zhejiang University in Stepfun.
A very heavy title, but a brilliant concept.
Definitely. So here is the 60-second summary for the short-form edit. The continuous improvement of 3D spatial reasoning in models has been heavily bottlenecked by the immense cost of human geometric annotation.
Right. Humans are expensive.
So expensive. And the current alternative, which is self-evolving models that rely on model consensus, is deeply flawed for 3D tasks.
Because they just vote on their own errors.
Exactly. They reinforce their own geometric biases. But SpatialEvo completely bypasses this by recognizing a unique property of 3D space, which is that ground truth is just deterministic math.
It's just numbers.
Right. So using what they call a Deterministic Geometric Environment, or DGE, the framework turns raw, unannotated 3D point clouds into zero-noise interactive oracles.
Which is a huge shift from how we normally do this.
It is. A single shared parameter model acts as both a questioner and a solver. It gets objective physical feedback instead of relying on flawed AI consensus.
And the results speak for themselves, really.
They really do. We're talking the highest average scores across 9 benchmarks at the 3B and 7B scales, a dynamic curriculum that targets weaknesses, and remarkably no loss in general visual understanding.
That last part is key.
Yeah, it's huge. So, if you've ever tried to build a model that actually understands physical space, we've essentially hit a brick wall when it comes to training data.
Yeah, and that wall is, it's purely financial and structural at this point. Up until now, the industry standard has been this thing called static data tuning.
Right.
You essentially pay a small army of human annotators to look at multi-view images of a scene and then manually write out geometric question and answer pairs.
Like asking how far the chair is from the window.
Exactly. Or, is the cup on the left or right edge of the table, stuff like that.
Which, that sounds fine on paper, but I'm guessing the problem is right there in the name. It's static.
That is the exact problem. A static corpus cannot respond to the model's current state of learning.
Right.
As your model trains, its weights adjust, right? So it naturally gets better at certain spatial concepts and struggles with others.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But a static data set can't suddenly generate 10,000 harder examples of, say, occluded objects just because your model happens to be failing at occlusion that particular day.
Because to do that, you'd have to, pause the entire training run, hire those human annotators again, and wait 6 months for a new data set.
Pretty much. And human annotation for complex geometry is notoriously error-prone anyway.
Oh, for sure.
We humans struggle to estimate absolute depth from 2D images, so the ground truth we're providing the model is inherently noisy right out of the gate.
So scaling human annotation is basically a dead end, both financially and technically.
Yeah, it doesn't scale.
And the obvious ML Band-Aid, which we see literally everywhere else right now, is to just make the models grade each other.
Right, the consensus self-evolve paradigm.
Yeah, and the theory there is incredibly tempting, right? You take the humans completely out of the loop.
Exactly. You have a model generate a bunch of answers to a spatial question, and then you have a panel of models vote on the best answer to create a pseudo-label.
Which, to be fair, in domains like code generation or logical reasoning, that actually works fairly well.
It does. It works great for code, but geometry isn't a democracy.
Right. Relying on model consensus for 3D space is it's kind of like a study group of students who haven't taken calculus voting on the correct answer to an advanced math test.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Just because an answer is popular among the models doesn't mean it actually reflects physical reality.
Right. When a model hallucinates a physical impossibility, like 2 solid objects occupying the exact same coordinates and the other models vote to confirm it, well, that hallucination becomes the new ground truth.
Which is terrifying for deployment.
Totally. Consensus voting actively amplifies incorrect geometric priors.
It literally bakes the stupidity right into the weights. The model becomes confidently wrong about how the physical universe operates.
It does.
But, okay, if humans are too slow and expensive and AI voting is just the blind leading the blind into a wall, we're kind of stuck.
Unless there's some secret third option.
Right. A third option for generating ground truth that doesn't involve people or LLMs guessing.
And that third option is the core insight of SpatialEvo. The researchers recognize that physical reality itself is an exact, impartial judge.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we don't need human opinions or AI votes to determine if a box is in front of a sphere. We have the laws of physics and math.
Okay, I want to visualize this for a second for the listeners. Let's talk about the actual math of 3D spatial reasoning.
Sure.
When an AI researcher asks a model to calculate the absolute distance between two objects, what is actually happening under the hood, mechanically speaking?
Fundamentally, that calculation is just a nearest point computation on 3D bounding boxes.
Okay, so it's a coordinate math problem.
Exactly. And if you ask about relative camera orientation, you are simply asking for an arithmetic operation on rotation matrices.
And a rotation matrix is basically just a grid of numbers that tells you exactly how much an object or a camera is tilted or turned in 3D space.
You nailed it. It's just numbers. So there's absolutely no subjectivity.
It's not like, oh, the couch feels kind of close to the TV. It's strict Cartesian coordinates.
It is entirely deterministic. And this realization is what led the team to build the Deterministic Geometric Environment, or DGE.
The DGE?
Right. They formalized 16 different spatial reasoning task categories. So things ranging from relative position to complex distance metrics and camera poses.
Okay.
And then they mapped each one of those to explicit, unbreakable geometric validation rules.
Okay, wait, but how does the DGE actually know what's in the room to validate those rules? Where does its physical data actually come from?
So the DGE feeds on raw, unannotated 3D scenes, specifically point clouds.
Point clouds?
Yeah. Think of a 3D point cloud as a highly detailed digital scan made of millions of tiny dots in a virtual space. It perfectly represents the physical layout of a real environment.
So it's an exact one-to-one digital replica?
Yes. And the environment takes these point clouds and converts them into an inexhaustible source of noise-free supervision. The physical feedback is 100% objective math.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
Because if I'm an ML engineer listening to this, a huge red flag just went up in my head.
Oh.
Yeah. If the ground truth is just straightforward math computed from a 3D point cloud, why do we even need an AI model at all?
That's a very fair question.
Right. Why not just use the math engine to answer every spatial question and be done with it?
Well, it comes down to what the AI model actually encounters in deployment.
What do you mean?
When you release a vision model into the wild, it doesn't get to see a perfect million-dot 3D laser scan of a living room. It gets a flat 2D photograph.
Ah, okay.
The AI's job is to reason about 3D relationships based solely on those flat visual pixels.
Oh, I see. It's like the AI is trying to guess the whole 3D layout of a room just by looking through a flat peephole.
That is a perfect metaphor. The AI only ever has the peephole view.
Right.
But during training, the DGE is standing inside that same room with a laser tape measure.
Because the DGE has access to the hidden 3D point cloud.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when the AI guesses the depth and layout from its flat image, the DGE instantly checks the math against the hidden point cloud.
And it tells the AI exactly how many inches off its guess was.
Precisely. So the math engine isn't replacing the AI, it's acting as the flawless teacher.
It computes the absolute ground truth from the hidden 3D asset to correct the AI's visual reasoning, and it does it with zero noise.
Zero noise. And to actually extract that training signal, the researchers designed a single shared parameter policy that plays two distinct roles in a continuous co-evolving loop.
Two roles.
Yeah, they call them the questioner and the solver.
Okay, let's walk through a micro scenario here to really ground this. The model boots up, and it takes on the questioner role. What is it actually doing in that moment?
So the questioner is handed a visual scene, a 2D image, and its objective is to generate physically valid spatial questions grounded in what it actually observes.
Okay.
To use an example straight from the paper, the model might look at an image of a cluttered office space. It spots a backpack sitting to the left of a table. The questioner then generates a specific prompt based on that visual. It might ask, where's the backpack relative to the table?
Or it might see a water bottle sitting in front of a computer tower on a desk. and formulate a question about their relative positions.
Exactly. It's generating its own test exam on the fly, based entirely on the pixels it sees.
That's super clever. So then what?
Then, that same underlying model switches hats. It becomes the solver.
Okay, so now it has to take the test it just wrote.
Right. The solver takes the question generated by the questioner, say, about the water bottle, and the computer tower looks at the same 2D image and has to derive a precise answer.
Like deducing that the water bottle is front center relative to the tower.
Exactly. And because the DGE is running in the background with that perfect 3D point cloud your laser tape measure, it can instantly check the solver's answer using deterministic math.
Wow. But wait, checking the correct answers is only half of the system's power, right?
Right. The true breakthrough is actually how the DGE grades the questioner.
Yes. This brings us to the invalid question mechanism. This was the part of the paper where the mechanics really clicked for me.
It's a really elegant solution. See, often AI models will ask questions that sound linguistically fluent, but are just geometrically impossible based on the scene.
They sound good, but they make no physical sense.
Exactly. And the DGE catches this. When the questioner asks an unsolvable question, the DGE acts as an authoritative judge.
So it doesn't just return a generic wrong or like a negative reward score.
No, it returns highly structured rejection evidence.
Okay, what does that rejection evidence actually look like in practice, if I'm looking at the logs?
The environment sends back specific error codes. It pinpoints the exact stage where the reasoning failed and provides explicit reasons for the invalidity.
Give me an example of that. Let's say the questioner looks at a flat image of a living room and asks, how far is the coffee table behind the solid brick wall?
Right, which is impossible to know.
Exactly. So the DGE checks the hidden 3D point cloud, realizes those bounding boxes don't relate that way at all, and fires back an error code 404, geometrically impossible.
Yep. And then the model is forced to process that structured rejection. It has to update its weights to account for why that spatial question was invalid based on those strict diagnostic signals.
So it's essentially learning the absolute boundaries of reality.
It really is.
By forcing the model to digest these invalid question scenarios, it doesn't just learn where objects are, it learns what fundamentally cannot exist in physical space.
Which is such a hard concept for models to grasp normally.
Yeah, it learns that it cannot ask about objects totally obscured by structural barriers because it's impossible to verify.
And that structural anchoring is what completely eliminates the hallucination echo chamber we see in consensus voting.
Because you can't argue with math.
Exactly. You cannot vote your way out of a hard physics error when the DGE provides mathematical proof of your failure.
Okay, so we have the questioner asking, the solver answering, and the DGE handing out these mathematical reality checks.
Right.
But, you know, if I'm an ML engineer, my worry here is sample efficiency.
Sure.
What stops this self-sustaining loop from just, generating really easy questions? Like asking about a giant couch in the middle of a well-lit room over and over again.
That's a valid concern.
Because it could rack up a high score without actually learning complex geometry.
The researchers anticipated that exact kind of laziness, which is why they implemented a task adaptive scheduler.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, since the entire system is automated by the DGE, the framework monitors its own performance across all 16 of those spatial reasoning categories in real time.
Endogenously monitoring itself, meaning it's completely hands-off.
100%.
No human is looking at a dashboard pushing buttons to tweak the training mix.
No humans involved. It creates a dynamic curriculum on the fly.
Wow.
If the DGE logs that the model is scoring, say, 95% on absolute distance calculations, but only 40% on relative camera orientation, the scheduler intervenes.
What does it do?
It forces the questioner to massively upsample the generation of camera orientation problems.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's basically an automated adversarial training loop.
It really is.
Think of it like a video game that dynamically buffs the exact bosses the player is currently worst at defending against.
That's exactly how it functions.
You never waste compute training the model on spatial concepts it has already mastered. This entirely solves that static dataset flaw we discussed earlier, where the data is just frozen in time.
The training distribution is in a constant state of flux. It's always shifting to challenge the model's sharpest weaknesses.
And the empirical results validate the approach pretty definitively, right?
Oh, definitively. Looking at the raw numbers, SpatialEvo achieves the highest average scores across 9 different spatial reasoning benchmarks.
And they achieve this at both the 3 billion and 7 billion parameter scales, which That is relatively lean for modern vision models.
It's very lean.
But they didn't just test this in a vacuum against random models, did they?
No, they set up very rigorous head-to-head comparisons. They took a publicly available, highly capable vision model, specifically Qwen 2.5 VL3B, and used it as the baseline brain.
Okay, so Qwen 2.5 is the foundation.
Right. They wanted to prove that their specific training method was the differentiator. So keeping that 3 billion parameter Qwen architecture identical, they pitted SpatialEvo against static dataset methods.
Methods like Spatial Ladder, for instance.
Yeah, they outperformed a reproduced version of Spatial Ladder handily. They also evaluated publicly released checkpoints of Spacer and Spatial SSRL, which are heavy hitters in this specialized domain.
And I imagine they tested it against the consensus voting methods, too, just to prove the point about hallucination.
They did, and SpatialEvo surpassed them across the board. The deterministic feedback loop is just empirically superior to both human-labeled datasets and AI consensus.
You know, if you've ever tried to fine-tune a vision model to be a genius at one specific subtask, you know the terror of catastrophic forgetting.
Oh, it's the worst.
It is. You aggressively train a model to understand 3D geometry by constantly overriding its weights, and suddenly it forgets how to identify a dog or read basic text in an image.
Its general intelligence just collapses.
Yeah. So how did SpatialEvo handle that?
The fact that they avoided catastrophic forgetting is perhaps the most impressive technical achievement in the whole paper.
Really?
Yeah. Despite this intense, highly specialized self-evolution loop focusing exclusively on spatial reasoning, the model suffered zero degradation in general visual understanding.
Zero. So the geometric reasoning was strictly additive.
Completely additive. They ran it through general multimodal benchmarks, tasks totally unrelated to spatial geometry, and it held its ground perfectly.
That's incredible.
The model got drastically smarter about physical space without cannibalizing its broader knowledge base.
Zooming out from the specific benchmark numbers, this paper feels like a massive paradigm shift for how we train embodied AI.
It really is. SpatialEvo proves that the physical constraints of a 3D environment can successfully replace the two biggest crutches in modern ML right now.
Expensive human annotations and hallucination-prone LLM consensus loops.
Exactly. By establishing math as the absolute ground truth, we can generate infinite, noise-free supervision.
It completely unblocks the scaling bottleneck for spatial reasoning.
It does.
Which leaves us with a final, really provocative thought for everyone listening. If deterministic geometry can provide infinite, zero-noise training data for vision models, what other disciplines are sitting on a goldmine for self-evolving AI?
That's a great question.
Right. Could we take this exact same DGE paradigm and apply it to physics engines? What about fluid dynamics or basic chemistry simulators?
The potential is definitely there.
Could we bypass human annotation entirely and just use the fundamental laws of science to self-evolve the next generation of AI? It's a wild thought, but after seeing the results of SpatialEvo, it honestly feels like the obvious next step. Thanks for tuning to AI Paper Podcast. We'll catch you next time.